girls and boys, rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. That's our welcome song for today. Rise and shine, give God your glory, glory.
Noah, his family, and all the animals went inside the boat, and God closed the door. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Children of the Lord. The Lord told Noah to build him an arky, arky. The Lord told Noah to build him an arky, arky. Make it out of gopher, barky, barky. Children of the Lord. The animals, they came in by twosies, twosies. The animals, they came in by twosies, twosies. Elephants and kangaroos, roosies, children of the Lord. Rise and shine, give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine, give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine, give God the glory, glory. It rained and poured for 40 daisies, daisies. It rained and poured for 40 daisies, daisies. Nearly drove those animals crazy, crazy. Children of the Lord. The sun came out and dried up the landy, landy. The sun came out and dried up the landy, landy. Everything was fine and dandy, dandy. Children of the Lord. Rise and shine, give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine, give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine, give God the glory, glory. Children of the Lord. Children of the Lord.
Today's big ideas. Today we celebrate Noah's Ark and some of the critters on the ark. Rainbows too. God promised Noah that he would send a rainbow. God said, I will put a rainbow in the sky to help you remember how much I love you. Diane will read Noah's Ark, and she will invite the experts to retell the story. Kara and Harper share worship songs, dance movements relating to today's theme. We will investigate some of the special animals on Noah's Ark, and Sister Kathleen will share a lesson that features a stained glass window with a dove. Betty Jane will introduce Oliver and Olivia to you and their favorite song, You Got a Friend in Me. Lydia will read God's Dream. And our Bible story for today will be a Caldecott Honor book. And it will be narrated by Diane Bruzel. Noah's Ark.
Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to my home. I'm glad you're here today. I have a wonderful little story to share with you today. A story about God's love and how good He is to us. And before I read the actual story, I just want to read a little something about God and His goodness. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Living things ran on the earth and flew in the skies and swam in the seas, and God saw that it was good. Our story today is Noah's Ark by Jerry Pinkney. God was not pleased with the people of the earth. They did not care for one another. They did not care for the land that God had made. and they did not care for God. God's heart was filled with pain to see the wickedness of humankind. God decided to sweep away all living things of the earth. But Noah did what was right in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord loved Noah. God spoke to Noah. Noah put down his basket and listened. God said, "Make me an ark out of cypress wood, for I'm going to bring a great flood upon the earth, and it will swallow up every living thing." God said, "Bring 2 of every creature on the ark. Bring food for them and for yourself. I make this promise to you. You and your family and the animals that you bring with you will be safe." Noah did as the Lord commanded. His family helped him build the ark. Every day it rose higher and higher. It rose over their heads. It rose over the treetops. The strong wooden beams embraced the clouds. Look at that. It looks as if the top of the ark is almost hitting the clouds themselves. At last, the ark was done. Noah filled baskets with grain. His wife baked loaves of bread. His 3 sons gathered grapes and olives. His sons' wives poured water into jars and carried them to the ark to fill it with food for every living thing. People came to stare at the ark as it sat on the top of the hill. "What fool builds a ship on dry land?" they cried. "The ocean is miles away." But Noah trusted in the Lord, and the clouds began to gather. God called to the animals, and from aardvark to zebra they came. The deer bounded through the tall grass. The elephants ran, and it sounded like thunder. The wings of the birds cast a shadow on the earth. Look at all those animals, ready to go onto the ark. 2 by 2 they came, all the animals of the earth. They came to the ark where Noah waited, and Noah welcomed them. They followed him into the ark, and God closed the door behind them. I wonder if they'll all fit. The rains began. The lakes and the rivers and the creeks and streams overflowed their banks. The oceans rose. Slowly the water crept over the land, higher and higher. And there's that ark. The water rose over cities and towns. Whales swam down ruined streets. Schools of fish darted through empty windows. But God remembered Noah and his family and all the animals on the ark. The ark floated on the waters. Everyone inside was safe. The zebras munched their hay. The geese gobbled up the grain. The monkeys nibbled on sweet grapes and climbed to the roof where the sparrows perched and sang. They all look very happy and comfortable. After 40 days, and 40 nights, the rain stopped falling. God sent a great wind over the earth, and slowly, slowly, the waters began to go down. At last, the ark came to rest on the top of the highest mountain, but all around there was nothing but water. Noah opened a window and sent out a raven to fly over the face of the waters. But the raven found no dry land. Noah sent out a dove to fly over the waters, but the dove found no dry land. Noah had faith in God, and he sent the dove again. The dove returned to Noah with an olive branch in its beak. Then Noah knew that there was dry land at last. Slowly, slowly, the waters went down. Slowly, the earth dried. The sun shone again. The grass grew. At last, it was time to leave the ark. The owls and the eagles spread their wings and soared. The panther sprang to the soft ground. The grasshoppers leapt and the lizards scurried. Noah and his family turned their faces up to the sun and sang praise to God. Noah and his family planted seeds for the first harvest. They cared for the earth that God had made. God said, "Never again will I send a flood upon the earth to destroy it. From this day forward, life on earth will grow and prosper." And God set a rainbow in the heavens as a sign of this promise to Noah and to Noah's family and to every living thing. Seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, night and day, shall never cease as long as the earth endures. I hope you enjoyed our story. This is such a beautiful story, but don't take my word for it. We'll go to the experts and hear what they have to say.
Our Bible video today, Noah by the Experts.
So the first thing you have to know is how God created the world. Everything was perfect. He was really happy with it. Like this happy. But then, dun dun dun, people messed up. They made some mistakes, some boo-boos, some uh-ohs, some They had forgotten about God. They were totally out of control. Nobody was good. No one. Nada. Zip. Except one guy. One guy. Just one. His name was Noah. Noah. He and his family were the only ones who still loved God. And God wanted to start the world over with Noah and his family. A fresh start. A new start. So God decided to send a flood to start the world all over again. A flood is like a lot of water. Lots and lots of water. Enough to fill a bathtub. Your neighborhood. Your town. Your city. The whole world. Now that's a lot of water. But before that happened, God had Noah build an ark. It's like a big boat with a roof. And it was going to hold Noah's entire family. It was going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. On top of all that, God will send 2 of every animal. 2. 1, 2, 2. a male and a female. That means a boy and a girl. Every animal, monkey, crocodile, sheep, pig, cows, horses, duck, moose, I'm a moose, elephant. Peanuts are a great source of protein. Mice. Zebras, they don't make sounds. Not people. Well, maybe. They must do something when they get mad. They probably just stare at you. Oh, and Noah brought a rhino. I'm a rhino. I'm a rhino. I'm a rhino. But back to the story. I bet no one knew why Noah was building this contraption. This boat with a roof. I can see Noah being made fun of. People probably said, why does your boat have a roof? Oh, Noah's gone crazy. Noah's lost all of his marbles. He's one taco short of a Mexican sampler. He's got some screws loose. Noah only cared about what God wanted him to do. Because he loved him. Then, one day, when the ark was finally built, God told him to get in with all the animals, and God shut the door and started the rain. For 40 days and 40 nights. I wonder what they did for those 40 days. Played checkers? I bet they cleaned up a lot of animal poo. Then the rain finally stopped. They still had to wait till the water went down. And that was a long time. They had finally landed on Mount Ararat. Ararat. It's a mountain. So it landed there at that place. With a but they still had to wait until God let them know it was safe to go outside. God started the world over with Noah and his family. That fresh start, a new start, a good start. Then God showed Noah a sign, a promise, a symbol, a rainbow, and told him he would never flood the earth again. And God always keeps his promises. And one day God would rescue his people all over again. That's another story.
Our favorite time of the morning, worship songs and movement with Kara and Harper.
Alright, you guys, this song is called Journey. Let's go ahead and bounce together. This song is about how when we follow God and trust in Him, He will take us on an amazing journey. So let's start by singing When Waves Roar. Can you guys do this?
When waves roar in front of me, so high that I can't see you, I don't have to be afraid.
Sing out When Your Voice is Calling Me.
Your voice
It started in the garden when Adam chose to sin, and now I can't get rid of this trouble that I'm in. Where will I go for answers? How can I find my way? I lift my eyes to heaven for the Lord to save the day. When everything is falling down, gonna lift you up, oh, oh, oh. Gonna lift you up, oh, oh, oh. Gonna lift you up, oh, oh, oh. Praise you in the morning, praise you in the night, and through the darkest valley, when there's no end in sight, when there's no silver lining, and all the clouds I see, I lift my eyes to heaven for the Lord to rescue me. When everything is falling down, gonna lift you up, oh, oh, oh. 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 Everything is falling down. Gonna lift you up, oh, 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 oh. Gonna lift you up, 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 oh, oh, oh. Gonna lift you Everybody clap your hands. Now stop. Feel it in the air right now. It's all around, I see it everywhere. It's the power. Yeah, yeah, God's power. It's the power to move any star. It's the power to heal your broken heart. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. So don't hold back, no, don't hold still. God is here and He is real. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. Let's do it all again right now. Take 4 steps to the
up your hands, don't stand still. Now let me hear you lose your voice. Come on. Listen up. Let's go. Listen up, we got a reason why we're singing. Take control, feel the music in your soul. I'm a child of God, you know it. Hey, I was born for this. It's why I was made. Don't have to be afraid, 'cause I know that I am saved. A child of God, that's who I wanna be. Listen up, we got a reason why we're singing. Take control, feel the music in your soul. Hey, listen up. Hey, listen up, we got a reason why we're singing. Take control, feel the music in your soul. Now put your hands up high, put them way down low. Move side to side, stop. Let's go. Come on, come on. Let me see you dance. Come on, come on. Listen up, we got a reason why we're singing. Take control, feel the music in your soul. says I am. Let's go. I am who God says I am. 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 I am forgiven. I am a winner. I have been chosen. Jesus, I am yours. Jesus, I am yours. I belong to the one who saved me. I belong to the one who gave his life. So I will take my place. I will stand and say, Jesus, I am yours. I belong to the one who saved me. I belong to the one who gave his life. So I will take my place. I will stand and say, Jesus, I am who God says I am. 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 You know I am who God says I am. I am who God says I am.
This song's for our older kids. It's a lot more complicated, but I think it's pretty fun.
You won't let go, go, go. I will not worry again. Instead, I'll continue to pray and thank you for all you've done for me. There's things I just don't understand, and it shows that no one can. But you're in the midst of all of this, and I'm afraid you know. With all of these unknowns, you're holding that whole world, and you won't let go, you won't let go. Cause you're in control. You won't let go, go, go. I don't know what happened today, but I know it will be okay. It's gonna give me peace inside of fear. There's things I just don't understand, and it shows that no one can. But you're in the midst of all of this, when I'm afraid, you know. With all of these unknowns, you're holding the whole world, and you won't let go. When I'm afraid, you know. With all of these unknowns, you're holding on to us, and you won't let go. You won't let go. Cause you're in
Hey, boys and girls, remember we were going to talk about some of those critters that were on Noah's Ark? Well, let's go into the kitchen with Sister Kathleen and make a stained glass window with a dove.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, boys and girls, and good morning, all the adults who are watching us today. Our craft lesson for today is going to be a stained glass window. And as you can remember from day one, we did the rainbow. And today, we're doing a stained glass window. Now, both of them need the sun. If you go to our church, to St. George Church, as I did this morning for Mass, I walked around and I noticed that all the windows were of holy men and women. And when I did a little research on the stained glass window, I found out that in medieval times, and you can look that up and find out what those years were, many of the people in those days could not read or write. And the priest, the holy men and women of the time, wanted the people to know all of the events of Jesus' life. So what they did was they put everything in the stained glass window. It was a picture. It was a story. And a story, the pictures, just described and told so much of what was happening. So the one we're doing today is a cross. And when we get all done, we're going to add something very special to it. What we need for this is, again, putting your paper template, and every one of you has these in your craft packet, on a piece of wax paper. We are going to use markers today, and they are water-soluble markers, which means that they're very easy to take off of anything. They're not permanent. I found these two boxes in a local craft store over the weekend, and one of them, believe it or not, was only 50 cents. So you will find so many school supplies, art supplies in that particular store. And also the reason I got them was because they were of varied colors. So I'm going to begin one for you, and this one we're going to start with red. And just as the colors of the rainbow stood for certain parts of the church and our faith, the red in this stained glass window really represents love. So you can start anywhere you like, and you use the marker similar to a paintbrush. What's really nice about these is you'll see that as you do it, and you just go around to wherever you feel you would like to put the color red. What's so nice with our younger children using these is that it's very hard to go out of the black line. So it kind of helps you. I find it very helpful, because I know when I paint, it's very hard to stay within a particular line if I put lines down first. So all I would do is just go around, no rhyme or reason, and just fill in as many spaces as I can with the red. And again, what does the red stand for? Right, love. Okay, so we just go down. Now I leave the cross for the end, and I'll show you why in just a minute. I want to touch the big cross in the end. Okay, the next one we're going to do is blue. And I have a couple of shades of blue here. Blue stands for heaven, for the sky. So when you look in on the stained glass windows, you'll see that. Try to find these different colors. So again, just go around wherever you feel. This is a good place to let the Holy Spirit, your imagination, guide you. Just go along wherever you want to fill in some blues. It's also very peaceful and relaxing. After a while, you will kind of forget where you are if you do it in a quiet environment. You can have music playing in the background. You could talk to somebody as you're doing it if you have a brother or sister. You can help them. It's an activity that will take a little time. You can't really rush it. So you make sure you have a little time And you go very carefully. And you can also be thinking of the cross. How Jesus tells us we should carry our cross each day. Okay, the next one would be green. And green stands for growth, for rebirth. As we look around in this, now we're in summertime, but in the spring, everything comes to life. I have 2 shades of green here. As I said, that's a good idea, a good reason to get a couple of packs of markers. And you might notice that every time I finish with a color, I place it in the box. You always make sure you have your materials handy and you keep your place very, very neat. Neatness is a very important quality to have, especially it's a gift to your mother and father. I'm going to use a different shade of green here. Okay, so this marker is there. As you might see that marker, the top didn't go on. One of them was very difficult. It took a little while, but I will fix it when I get it all done. And you can do that with your brothers and sisters too, especially the older ones with the younger. Teach them how to use their supplies. They last very, very long, by the way, when you do that. I have markers and crayons and paints that have been around for quite a while. Okay. Green. And now violet. The violet is a very pretty color, and that stands for truth. I think I kind of like this color the best. This is a beautiful shade too. And again, what's your favorite color? Talk about that. And what do you see in our church that's violet? We have two seasons in our church, Advent and Lent, and at both times the colors are violet or in purple, violet or purple. And also pink is in there too. Okay, so we have our violet. Okay, that's really pretty, don't you think so? Okay, the next one is white, and that's for purity. So we'll leave one of the spaces there, maybe the one in the middle. I think the one in the middle, I'll leave that white. Okay, yellow, and yellow stands for glory, and it also stands for the sun. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is leave this one till the end. I'm going to just put that one aside. Okay, let's do gray. Gray is for humility. Gray is a color that is now coming into, I call it coming into vogue. People love the color gray. So many things go with the color gray. And it adds a little bit of depth to your picture. Okay, so you kind of see where we're going here. It's just a lot of fun. If you want, you could try to do watercolor and markers. These markers are also broad tip. They have a big thick tip to them, so they go around very easily. Okay, I hope you're having fun with it. Next one is brown. Brown is the color of generosity or giving. Did you know that? That's a beautiful quality. You know, I was thinking of the color brown and I thought, I wonder how that fits into generosity or giving. And last night on the news, I saw a group of young people, teenagers, who were giving food to people who did not have food. And they were making up packages of food for them in their brown bags. So whenever you see the color of brown, think of that, of generosity. There are many people during these days who are reaching out to people in need. And I'm sure your family is doing the same. So here we go. We're really doing a good job. We're having a lot of fun. Okay. I'm just turning it around because it's a very warm day and I know the colors will set, but I'm not really depending on that. That will happen. I don't want to smudge it all up. Okay. And I said we're going to keep yellow for the end, but I have also here a pink. Now I didn't find out what pink stood for, but as I said during Advent and Lent, there is one Sunday where the priest wears pink vestments. Although Father Stephen likes to call it rose, I believe. Rose or pink. Okay. And we know how beautiful that looks. And you add it to something. I think I'll do this one pink. Or rose. And so when you think of it, colors really mean very much in our church. They represent so much. Oh, this looks like it needs a nice pink one. Oh, this one too. Okay, now the last color we have is yellow. Let me finish off this one here. Now the yellow stands for the sun and radiance. And what I did with one of these, you see, is I made some lines going down. So you could do any kind of design inside your white with the yellow. I'm just going to try a different design today. Okay. Maybe this one I have it going a different way. Because the rays of the sun are so brilliant, so bright. You can just do anything you want. Actually, you could do this on your stained glass window. Just make all different kind of shapes, different combinations. Okay, we're just about finishing up here. Okay, I'm going to leave the white, and again, we had the white that stood for purity. Okay, then we get our markers, we're all done, we get them all put back together again. And as I said, we have a stubborn one here, but I can work that out a little later. Okay, then we're going to add a dove. And each of you will receive a dove in your packet. Just before I lay it on, I'm going to just read to you from Genesis to remind you of what you've been listening to today about Noah's Ark. So this comes from the book of Genesis, which is in the Bible, the first book. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made and sent out the raven. And it went to and fro until the waters were dried up from the earth. Then he sent out the dove to see if the waters had subsided from the ground. But the dove found no place to set its foot, and it returned to him to the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took it and brought it into the ark with him. He waited another 7 days, and again he sent out the dove from the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So no one knew that the waters had subsided from the earth. So Lydia, would you like to add anything to our story? Oh, we have to put in on our dove. So now we just glue our dove onto, and again you can use a glue stick or just glue. You know, there's always a person behind the scenes all week doing all of the difficult work, and it happens to be Lydia. So you'll see her during the year in many different ways in our church. And there's your dove to remind you that God, who sent the flood over the earth, will never do that again, and has promised that he will always love us. Amen.
Amen, sister. Thank you.
Is that all right?
You were
Harder than I
great
thought.
during these art lessons, and we can't thank you enough. We'll have to put you on YouTube forever. Thank you for everything you have done for us, Sister Kathleen. Amen, amen. 3 cheers for you. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. You are our joy today. Peace, love, and happiness. There were other interesting critters on Noah's Ark, and let's look at some of them. Zebras, lions, monkeys, giraffes, leopards, elephants, and birds of many kinds. And so, Betty Jane will introduce you to 2 famous owls, Oliver and Olivia.
Welcome, children, to the St. George Church Bible Camp. Sister Kathleen, Lydia, and Kara have created a lovely program for you this summer. You may, if you attended last year's Bible Camp, you may remember we were in the church hall, we learned wonderful songs, we had arts and crafts. Sister Kathleen made wonderful sugar cookies. We had lots of fun. This year's theme is You Got a Friend in Me. And I'd like you to meet Olivia, who has attended Bible camp in years past, and also Oliver, who's a bit new, and he's come from far away. So, because owls sleep during the day, they're wearing their sunglasses and they're wearing their masks, but we can take those off now so you can see their pretty faces and see their pretty wings. And we're going to hear a story as told by Olivia and Oliver to me of how they found their happy home. You see, Olivia is a barn owl, and she lived in the country, and she had a very, very important job, didn't you, Olivia? She had to chase the mice, and since she was up all night, she had to take care of the horses. There were 2 horses, and there were 2 sheep, and there were ducks, and there were lots of others. And Christopher was her friend. Christopher would come into the barn at night and read her stories and let her sit on top of the horses, didn't he? And one day they went on a trip far away, and she saw her cousins. And Christopher let her sit on his arm, and she never hurt him. And she had a nice time. There were lots of children. What was this place? Then all of a sudden, Christopher went off with his friends, and Olivia was flying around. "What's this?" she said. Oh my. She was way up high, and she saw these really big teeth. And this big creature did not have any fur. Wasn't an owl. So she flew around, and it got very, very dark. "Christopher, where did you go?" Olivia was very sad. She saw her cousins, so she flew. "Oh, they look like me." But something happened. Bam! Uh-oh. And Olivia fell down. And she slept on the floor all night. And when she woke up, someone with really, really big hands, and he had fur. He picked her up and he carried her to another room. Well, that was comforting. Oliver heard this story many times, didn't you all? So, I happened to go to the Peabody Museum one day to find a book on owls for my niece's son. Did I see something blink? Who? And I heard a who back. And I looked. And here was the most precious, beautiful owl sitting in a lost and found box. So I scooped her up. And the nice lady behind the counter said, well, she's been there for a few weeks. You can have her if you want her. Oh, of course I'll take her home. But first, Olivia had to go to the doctor because her wing was broken when she tried to find her cousins. She was very, very hurt. So then, she sat home. She was happy to just curl up in her blankie and sleep and rest and take her medicine. Meanwhile, far, far away, in a cooler land, way, way up in Burlington, Vermont, was Oliver. Oliver's a snowy owl, so he likes the cold. And he found his way to Guilford, but he didn't know what Guilford was, and he lived in a tree across from a building. And the building, every night, bells would ring. He said, I remember bells. You see, Oliver had a very important job too. He worked for a professor. He was a messenger. So what he did is he took all the letters that the professor would write, and he had to fly all over campus in Burlington at the University of Vermont. He had a very important job. But one day, the professor moved away, and he didn't have a job anymore. So he had to find a new home and new friends. So he sat in the tree and he would fly around. But in the morning, all he heard was, caw, caw, caw. Oh, I have to get up and fly around. All of a sudden, you saw a purple bear. Purple bears? We had bears in Vermont, but they weren't purple. I'll go in and see. Oh, look at this. There are furry creatures in there. I'll just hang out for a while. No. Oliver sat up on a coat rack with a bunch of bunnies and other critters. You liked that, didn't you? I never did see a purple bear. There was one on the door. So, I happened to walk into the Purple Bear looking for a book on owls, and I looked over and said, who's that? And Oliver said, who? She speaks my language. So I went over and I thought, you got a friend in me. Would you like to come home with me? Oh yes, said Oliver. I would like that. Well, you're going to have a new friend. Olivia is her name. Well, they would stay up all night long and talk and talk and talk. And Olivia told him stories how Christopher would teach her how to pray. And they did simple prayers. and they would fold their hands, and he would always bring his books, and they would sit on the hay. Well, Oliver didn't know too much about prayer, church, but he did remember the church bells, didn't you? You like those church bells. So he listened, and she told him the story about the scary thing with big teeth. And Oliver said, "What? Oh, it's Tyrannosaurus Rex." Huh? Who? T-Rex. Everybody knows T-Rex. Well, he's not like us. He didn't have any fur. Well, maybe he's not like us and he doesn't have fur. But we're all God's children. We may look different, and we may have different fur and different wings and different feet. But we're all God's children. And we love each other very, very much. And you've got a friend in me. Would you like to show the children what you made in Bible Camp last summer? Look, this is very sweet. And what does it say? When you are lonely, Jesus rescues. And that's exactly what happened, right? He calls her Buttercup, but her name is really Olivia. But Jesus does rescue when you're worried or when you're sad, and you always have a friend in God, right? And then, when you kneel down and say your prayers at night, we'll show you what they did. Let's show them the sign you made and what it says, okay? Let's see if we can hold this up with our wings, all right? Okay, here we go. Gotta hold on. There we go. So what does it say? Thankful, grateful, blessed. You have a friend in me.
You got a friend in me.
You got a friend in me.
Yep. By Claire and Dad.
By Claire and Dad.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from a nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Girl, you got a friend in me.
The second verse. I'm doing the second verse. You got friends in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles. I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together, can see it through. 'Cause you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me.
Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too. But none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's just me and you, girl.
And as the years go by,
Our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Yeah,
snack time with our favorite friend in our kitchen, Sister Kathleen.
Okay, good morning boys and girls. Here we are again in my kitchen, and we are making today an ice cream sandwich cake. This is one of the most refreshing, delicious desserts, and it feeds so many people. So it's a good family recipe. It's good for whatever, a gathering of any sort. So the first thing we're going to need are 24 ice cream sandwiches, and you can get boxes of them. I have some vanilla ones, and I also have some mint chocolate chip ones. Then you would need a nice big tub of Cool Whip. I don't know about putting whipped cream, but I'm sure that might be okay. But the Cool Whip really works wonderfully. Okay, then we're going to need some sprinkles, and any sprinkles you want. You can use little mint chocolate chips, or little chocolate chips, mint chips, or toffees. And I have here toffee, because I love that caramel flavor. And cherries, some cherries to go with it. And also animal crackers that I'm going to put on the top to go along with our animal to go along with Noah's Ark. Now I forgot my chocolate syrup. So we have chocolate syrup and caramel syrup. So here we go. The first thing you're going to do is get a nice big container, a nice big dish. And this dish holds about 8 ice cream sandwiches. Some of them you might have to cut to make them fit. After you get them all in there, you will cover that with Cool Whip. You take your Cool Whip, hope you can see, and you just cover the bottom. Now the recipe says to use about half the container, so you just keep on going and use as much as you like for this part. It's really kind of fun. This is almost half. Okay. And if you have any little places that you know it can go, just fill it all in. Okay, this is when you really can have a little bit of fun. Okay, following that, we're going to put on some syrup. Okay, so I have chocolate syrup here. We're going to make some designs. Okay, I'm just doing a fun design with the chocolate syrup. Any kind of design at all that you would like. Okay? That looks pretty good. Then, caramel syrup. Oh, isn't this wonderful? Doesn't it look great already? I love caramel syrup. Okay. And again, these ingredients are very easy to find in your grocery store. Make a nice little decoration. Okay. Following that, let's put on some toffee bits here. How about that? Do whatever you like. And some sprinkles. Okay, I think we'll put some chocolate sprinkles and some rainbow sprinkles. Wow, that is quite a nice looking cake right away. Okay. Yeah, this one's coming out there. Okay. Okay, then we do this all over again. So you can watch me as I do it. And it's good just to have a little trash can nearby. So you can put the paper in there. Or you can also put it in a bowl. I always leave, I think I'll put it in a bowl there. I have a little bowl here, and what I do is I put anything that needs to be thrown out later in the bowl. Okay, so you just layer down your sandwiches. And like I said, you can use a small bowl. They have little ice cream sandwiches in the store. That would be like half of this. Okay, well, this is coming out really nice. find the kind of ice cream that you really like. Looks like we're going to need a few more of these. Okay. So there's some here. Okay, this one looks really, really, really good. And just fit it in there, whichever way it goes. I think I will use this. I have a little left over from the last time, the last one, so I think I'll put that one on the side. Kind of squeeze this little guy in there. And then I'll take this one. Okay. And like I said, you might need to cut it just to fit in the little places. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, there we are. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, that's just about right. I think we're all set there, okay? And then, like I said, you can just clean up as you go along. Okay, then our Cool Whip goes on top. We're kind of getting the hang of it now, I think. And I'm sure you're all going to try this and let me know how it comes out. Send a picture of it. There are all different ways you can do this, by the way. Okay, you'd be surprised. You just want to cover up the places. You can push it down a little bit too. It doesn't want to go there. Here we are. I'm just trying to remind everybody it's a very humid day today, so everything is very, very soft. So you want to leave everything refrigerated until you're really ready to use it, especially if you have a very humid kitchen like I do. Yeah, I think we're doing pretty well. I think it looks gorgeous. Got a little bit more coming out of here. Okay. And maybe I would just get that off there. Okay. I think I'm just going to get a spoon and get the rest of it off this spoon. Okie doke. And we are all set. Oh, so you just fix it up if you like. Make it look a little artistic. Or kind of keep it rough. Okay. Then our syrups. Let's do again our chocolate syrup. This time I think I'll make a different kind of a design. This one comes out kind of squiggly. It's really pretty. And caramel syrup. Now you're probably wondering, where is this going to go? Well, Lydia and I, who have been working on the dessert parts, are going to have this today with our lunch. Okay. We are so excited. Oops. I will have to clean that up when I get done. Okay, then we have our toffee bits. Okie doke, this is really wonderful. And let's use some colored sprinkles for the top, because they're like the color of the rainbow in the stained glass window. So everything kind of has its little meaning here. And last but not least, or close to the end, let me put a couple of cherries here. A couple of cherries right here on the top, maybe on the sides here. That looks kind of nice. And animal crackers. Now I got these wonderful animal crackers. You've probably seen them. They're Barnum's animal cracker cookies. And you can decorate those any way you like. Gotta let them stand up in there. Okay, so I can't identify all of them. I'm sure you would do a much better job at that than I do. But this one even, oh yeah, looks like a little sheep. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Oh, this looks really good. I hope you like animal cracker cookies as much as I do, because they are absolutely wonderful. And I come from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And in Bridgeport, Connecticut, we have a museum down there called the Barnum Museum. It's another wonderful place to visit. We also have a zoo. Maybe you haven't never heard of that, but it's quite a nice place to go to. Okay. So, boys and girls, there we are. That is called our ice cream sandwich cake. And what I'm going to do now is put it in the freezer and let it set, at least for about a half an hour or so. So, I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, Sister Kathleen. And that's just like Noah's Ark. It's going to take 40 days and 40 nights to eat all of that yum, yum, yum dessert.
Yes.
Thank you again for inviting us into your kitchen. We hope to see you again at our Bible camp next summer with all your delicious foods. God bless you and keep you. I can't wait. Yum, yum, yum. The end. Wonderful snacks by a wonderful lady. Today's wrap-up. I will read a story called God's Dream. This beautiful book wraps up our themes for the week. Archbishop Tutu's unique message invites us to share together God's dream. God has plans for us, a dream. I chose you. Before you were born, I set you apart to serve me, from the prophet Jeremiah. At your baptism, you became a member of God's family. Remember, God loves you always, and His child you will be. The second day of camp, we celebrated love through worship songs and movements. We talked about love through empathy and forgiveness in 2 books. And through art, we learned love is patient and kind. Today, we talked about Noah's Ark, creation, and the promise of a rainbow. I will put a rainbow in the sky to help you remember how much I love you. As I read to you the story God's Dream, listen carefully to the words beckoning you toward a pathway of joy. God's Dream by Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Douglas Carlton Abrams. Dear child of God, what do you dream about in your loveliest of dreams? Do you dream about flying high or rainbows reaching across the sky? Do you dream about being free to do what your heart desires, or about being treated like a full person no matter how young you might be? Do you know what God dreams about? If you close your eyes and look with your heart, I am sure, dear child, that you will find out. God dreams about people sharing. God dreams about people caring. God dreams that we reach out and hold one another's hands and play one another's games and laugh with one another's hearts. But God does not force us to be friends or to love one another. Dear child of God, it does happen that we get angry and hurt one another. Soon we start to feel sad and very alone. Sometimes we cry, and God cries with us. But when we say we're sorry and forgive one another, we wipe away the tears, and God's tears too. Each of us carries a piece of God's heart within us, and when we love one another, the pieces of God's heart are made whole. God dreams that every one of us will see that we are brothers and sisters. Yes, even you and me. Even if we have different mommies and daddies, or live in different faraway lands. Even if we speak different languages or have different ways of talking to God, even if we have different eyes or different skin. Even if you are taller and I am smaller, and even if your nose is a little larger than mine. Dear child of God, do you know how to make God's dream come true? It's really easy as sharing, loving, caring, as easy as holding, playing, and laughing, as easy as knowing we are family. because we are all God's children. Will you help God's dream come true? Let me tell you a secret. God smiles like a rainbow when you do. Yes, God smiles like a rainbow when you do. So, child of God, children of peace, remember, God smiles like a rainbow when you do. The end. God bless you. Well, goodbye, friends. We're going to show you a special way to pray with our hands today. Thanks for being with us today. And remember, we want to see your artwork and comments about camp. We invite you to paint or place a rainbow on your door or window to let us know that you enjoyed camp. Our team will be out and about looking for rainbows, and if we spot a rainbow in your window, we'll put it on Facebook. Let us close as we look at the spider's web. We see that we are all connected by a silver thread. So pray with your hands with me to Charlotte Diamond's spider web. Never die. So remember, we're all interconnected with the spider's web. See you again next summer in 2021. Thanks for the memories.